Hi, welcome to Sheepish episode 57. Today is Monday, May 25th, 2015, and I'm Holly. How is everybody? It's been a couple of weeks. I hope it's been a good couple of weeks for you. Today is Memorial Day here in the United States. Memorial Day is the traditional start of summer. It's also a great way to give us a 3-day weekend. However, it means a lot more. And that tends to get forgotten. Memorial Day is to remind us all to remember those who made that ultimate sacrifice and went to fight for our country and didn't make it home. Not everybody has personal experience with that, but everybody knows somebody who has. And that tends to get forgotten in all of the celebrations. And it's summer, it's beautiful, it's a beautiful day out. I understand that. But if you remember at any time, take a moment to remember those who didn't come back and the families that they left behind. My friend died in 2005. He's on my mind anyway, but I always take a moment to remember him. On Memorial Day especially. So with that, I'm not gonna stay in this sad outlook, but yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. So I hope you guys have had a great couple of weeks. Mine have been busy as usual. I haven't gotten nearly as much knitting done as I would have liked to, but you get done what you get done. So let's go ahead and get started so I can get this edited and up today. So current roster, we'll start with what everybody's been seeing and what you guys have all known about. So living in my Fat Squirrel Fibers bag, my companion's bag, yay. And is why can't I remember the name of this? I know, brain fart, right there. Second Story Tea, wow, okay. This is where show notes for me would be good. But I don't do them until after I record. I used to do them before, but yeah, I really should do them. Anyway, Second Story Tea. This is by Debbie O'Neill. This is from the 2015 spring issue of Interweave Knits. And again, when I get close, it gets really, really green and like yellowish cast. When I get far away, this is actually closer to the natural color. Or the true color, I should say. This is being knit out of Elspeth Levold's Hempathy, which is a hemp, cotton, and modal blend. And modal's, I'm just assuming, a man-made fiber. I can only work on this for short periods of time, which is why there hasn't been a whole lot of progress made. However, I have gotten to the point where I'm adding in stockinette stitches into my ribbing. So yay! There is that. That means that I've made some progress since last time. But yeah, I can only work on it like 4 to 8 rows at a time before my hands are like, we got to work on something else. It is an easy knit. I've now got it down to where I don't have to think about it nearly as much. Whoa, hi. You will see that I threw in a stitch marker, and this is, let me see if I can turn it around, a stitch marker that I got from Jenny the Potter at Sheep and Wool this year. But I threw that in just as a visual for me, mostly when I'm coming back across, and I've got to stay in stockinette stitch across these. The reason why I did that was because on the back side, I was having so much so many problems just trying to remember. And I'd keep doing my 3x3 rib into that, and more often than not, cursing a lot and tinking back. So I threw that in there. It's kind of a pain in the butt because when I'm coming across, I have to move it, but it works. So there is that. I'm on row 69. And yes, I'm 12. I didn't even mean. Anyway, so I've got about 150 more rows to go. Maybe? Something like that. But that's living in that. I'm going to work on that a little bit today. You know. Next up, and this is living in a new bag, or a new bag from what you've seen it live in. This is my bird legs bag, and there's a reason why I moved this project into this bag. But this is my Lollipop Yarns sock. The color is Wild Thing. I looked this up last night because I had to put this on Ravelry. Yes, I'm putting things on Ravelry. It's kind of scary. But, so this is how it looks. This is how it looks in the ball. So it's really super bright with all of that gray, and that's how it looks knitted up. I'm just using my standard toe-up sock on 64 stitches and on a US 1.5, and it's creating a really nice fabric. So this is Wild Thing. Let me see if I can find the colors for you. Sorry, you would think that I'd have, again, I had show notes, but I wrote them down in my project on my projects page because I promptly lost the label when I took that off. So this has 3 rows of Madcap Mango. Where is it? 3 rows of Foolish Fuchsia and 3 rows of Dotty Daffodil, all surrounded by 5 rows of Crazy Charcoal. It's been a good in-progress stockinette stitch sock. I don't get a ton of time to knit on it because it mostly is my car knitting, and of course I'm only knitting on that when the car is completely stopped and I'm in traffic. This is in my bird legs bag because I am using this to count for points towards the Into the Wool Spotlight KAL. It's the 3rd KAL for that. Bird leg bags and Lollipop are both sponsors, so yay! So that's 2 points right there if I finish them, and I better finish them soon. I need to get some work on that. So this, living in my Little Skein in the Big Wool Owls bag that I absolutely adore, is a new project that if you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen. Because I've posted it there a couple of times. And I realize that I need to find a picture for you guys. Sorry. Again, show notes would be helpful. So Fiberspace is doing a knit along, and if you guys, sorry. Sorry everybody, that is both my messages and my phone going off, getting text bombed. So Fiberspace is my LYS, and it's where I teach as well. And they are doing a June knit along for the Duane Park Triangle by Kirsten Kapoor. And this is a picture of it. It's not the best picture in the world of it. This is a picture of part of the back. And again, I'm enlarging the pictures A so you can see them, but B so you're not seeing any of the pattern as well. So you can see that it's striped with this lacy bit at the bottom. And so I decided that I was going to take part in that, as well as I'm going to have this count towards another Into the Wool project for that Spotlight Knit Along. So I have this much done. And this is actually after having ripped it out a couple of times. I started this a little early for the Fiberspace Knit Along because really I don't think I'm eligible for any prizes anyway, so I'm good with that. I'm doing this mostly for fun, but also so I can use up some of my stash, which is awesome. So this is Highland Handmaid's White Birch Sock in the Coruscant colorway, and this was from the Highland Handmaid's Color Study Club from March. This was the March color, and you can see that I have a stitch marker in here, and yeah, there's a story behind that. I am planning on striping it with this. This is, oh, that's coming out really, really dark, and you don't get to see much of the teal that's in there. But this is Highland Handmaid's Silver Maple Sock, which is a 60% superwash merino, 30% bamboo, 10% nylon. It's about 425 yards. And again, you would think that I'd never done this. But the colorway is called Should You Need Us, and this is a labyrinth-inspired colorway that Heather did ages ago. This is definitely a different fiber makeup than this. This is going to drape a little bit more. I went back and forth on that. But I thought that I'd rather have something that's going to drape and look good. So these are these two colors together. And I think that once they're knit up, you'll be able to see a little bit more of the similarities, because this has got that beautiful dark gray, but it's also got, again, you can't see it, not well at least, but you've got these dark grayish teal colors that are just popping through there. So I'm very much looking forward to this. The pattern calls for US 7s, and I had originally started this and got to row 45. If you remember, this is the yarn that I used to knit the Molly Brown socks, and I had ripped out that one sock. It took 45 rows on a US 7 to get to the point where I used up all of that yarn and was knitting with fresh yarn, as it were. I didn't like the fabric I was getting. It was really, really super loose. I mean, it's supposed to be a very loose and open shawl anyway, but I really wasn't feeling the pattern or feeling the fabric. Wow, words, they're hard. So I ripped it out. I ripped it out and cast on again. I cast on Saturday, which is my daddy's birthday. I cast on Saturday night, and I cast onto US 6s. I know that I prefer fingering weight shawls on US 6s. My worry is that I'm going to run out. And I know that I'm going to run out of yarn. My plan is to knit the large size. Well, I'm going to run out of the main color. So we'll see. I'm probably going to knit a size that's in between the large and the medium, unless I can bribe somebody to let me have some of theirs. I'm going to go with I'm probably going to make a size that's in between the medium and the large. But I love how this feels, and it's so squishy, and it's lovely. And as you can see, there's a stitch marker in there. Because after I cast on and just started knitting away on the 6s, at one point I've got a row counter, and at one point I'd forgotten to click this. Oops. And so I had to do a lot of math to figure out where I was. And the way that this works is that I had to figure out row by row how many stitches I had at any given time. Because you add and then you take away and then you add and you take away. So yeah. So after I had gotten to that point, and after I'd done that, I then decided to screw things up and start my yarn overs on the wrong side. Now, as you can see, one side, this side here, is really straight. This side, not so much. This side's expanding out. Yeah, all of a sudden it started looking a little weird. So I tinked back, because I wasn't really going to rip back with the yarn overs. I tinked back like 8 rows. That was not fun. Not fun at all. But I got back on the right track, and it's been smooth sailing ever since. And that's when I decided I was throwing this on here, just so that way I could see at a glance which is my right side. Yeah. Stitch markers, they're your friends. They are. So that's pretty much all that's active right now. Oh, whoops. I want to put these in there, or I'm going to forget them. Yes, that's pretty much all that's active right now on the current roster. I do sort of have something to add to the alumni roster, but it's a project that's so old that I just don't know. I mean, I'm going to, because I finished them. So these are my Biscuit et Compagnie socks that I knit last May. Yeah, last May. It's been a year. I did the first one as a series of private lessons with my friend Nicole at the shop. We were going over toe-up socks and binding off and afterthought heels. So that's the first one. How do I know it's the first one? The heel is really different from the second. This is the second sock. So it basically sat there with its heel on needles for ages, for a year. So this was living in my bird legs bag. I needed to empty that out, and I couldn't just, in good faith, just pull the sock out and just ignore it. So I finished the heel on the second sock. The heels don't match. You know, I don't care. So this is Biscuit et Compagnie. This was knit on US 2.5s, or not 2.5s, 1.5, so 2.5 millimeter needles. Yeah. We'll get on that in a minute. Yeah. So I now have a new pair of socks to wear. I have not color tested this, tested the color fastness of this. Yeah, I'm not even getting into that. But yay for finished socks that were a year in the making. So yeah. So what was I going to show you. Oh, there they are. So I placed an order with Cannon Hand Dyeds ages ago, and I'm still waiting on the yarn. I have a message out to Amy Lee from Cannon on that. But I had also ordered these adorable bookmark charms, or book charms. So these are, of course you can't see them, because basically these are all little mini books. So we've got Sense and Sensibility, Persuasion, one of my favorites, Emma, Pride and Prejudice, of course, another of my favorites, and Mansfield Park. And then, of course, this little stitch marker here. These are all done by, they're done by Spark. I actually have, or I did have, at one point, well, this is their card, Spark, and she's got an Outlander club that she's doing with Canon Hand Dyes coming up, whatever. But these are really, really cute. I love these. I have not used them on a project yet. I don't know why. I've had them for a little while. I'm hoping maybe I'll use them on the yarn when it comes, because I got the colorway Miss Anne Elliott. And if you know your Austen, Anne Elliott is the main character in Persuasion. And as I've grown older, I've learned that I kind of relate. Anyway, so on to what's making me happy, and I'm going to start though with something that doesn't make me happy. So on Twitter this week, the Yarn Harlot asked a question, and don't get me wrong, I adore her, and I think that she's got a lot of great information out there. I own a few of her books. I really do like her. But, there's that but. My issue is that she was writing a pattern, or writing something, I'm assuming a pattern, and she was using, I believe it was US 2.5 millimeter needles. And she was looking for the US equivalent. She's like, this isn't standard, this isn't blah, blah, blah. And she got a few people who are just like, just put in, use whatever gets you gauge. Which makes sense. Absolutely it does. But she realizes that a lot of times knitters need a starting point, which again is completely fair. However, my issue with what was being asked was not that should I put a starting point in there. It was more of there's not a US equivalent to a 2.5 millimeter needle, so what do I put for the US people? And I responded with, actually, there is an equivalent. It's called a US 1.5, even though Addie calls a 1.5 a 2. Or no, they call the 1.5 ones. That's right. They call the 2.5s 2s. But I'm like, you can always put a millimeter size there, because we, US knitters, not dumb, we know to look at millimeter sizes. And if we're a newer knitter and we don't, and we go to the yarn shop and say, hey, I don't know what they're asking for with this, the yarn shop's going to know what size to give them. I didn't understand why there was so much angst and agita going on about a US size. If you don't want to put US 1.5, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Go for it. Put the millimeter size. Don't assume that just because we haven't gone metric that we don't know what a millimeter size is. I mean, there are a ton of patterns that I have that are from European designers, and Canadian designers for that matter, that don't have the US size. But you know, a lot of people have needle gauges. These kind of needle gauges also have sizes. They have the US equivalent and the millimeters. I don't know. Maybe because I was PMSing, I took that and was just like, what, you're saying that we're all dumb? And I know that she doesn't think that. But it was just one of those things that, I got the impression that it was, they don't follow millimeters, so what do I do? Don't assume that your US knitter's dumb. Or that they're not going to know millimeters. I mean, again, that's me just kind of getting personal on that. But yeah, don't assume that we don't know millimeters. If we don't, we've got these. If we don't have this, we've got local yarn shops. All right, Rant over. I'm done. Done with that. What's making me happy this week? Well, having some time off, honestly. I'm probably going to do a little bit of work. I'm just checking in with my email today, triaging things, but it's been nice to sleep in the last few days. Now, that said, I'm going to apologize for any ambient noise going on because there's tool finding over in the other room. But that being said, I have been fighting off a headache for the last 3-4 days. I guess it hit about Thursday of last week. Late Thursday. So I've been dealing with that. Today is the first headache-free day that I've had. And it's good. It's very good. I will be spending today with my parents. And George, of course. Because that's what you do. I spent basically all of yesterday. I was miserable, and I just spent it in the house watching Quiet Things, which actually led me to an American Masters on ABT, the American Ballet Theater. Like a lot of little girls, when I was very, very little, I wanted to be a ballerina. And I tried coming back to it as a teenager, and that just didn't work. I guess it's part of the reason why I like bar so much, because I can pretend I'm a ballerina, and all of the training that I had actually does translate, so. But I love ballet. I love watching things about the ballet. So American Masters had done this documentary on ABT, on the history of it, and it was amazing. And it was quiet enough that I was able to think and not have my brain hurt as much. But if you're into ballet and you have not seen that, I would recommend that highly. Yeah. So, yeah, what else is making me happy? The Tampa Bay Lightning are one game away, one win away from going to the finals, to the Stanley Cup Finals. Yes. My Capitals were eliminated by the Rangers in 7 games because we can't take anything to less than 7 games. The Rangers went on to play the Lightning. I have issues with the Rangers anyway, and I have issues with the Lightning too, but I'm glad that the Lightning are one win away from taking the Rangers down. Either way, when it comes to the finals, I'll be rooting for a Western Conference team, and so now I'm just waiting for the Anaheim Ducks and the Chicago Blackhawks to decide who's going to the final. But yeah, other than that, I think that that's about it. So have a great holiday if you celebrate it. If you are in the U.S., have a great week, everybody. I will see you next time. Keep stitching, crocheting, spinning, and knitting on. Bye.